Yeah. All right. Ready? Go.
Space colonization is bad. Extinction is inevitable. Problems in hand come first. We have is no responsibility to care about what happens in the far future. By Ross 2007. The case for space colonization isn't usually presented as an economic enterprise so much as a quasi-religious one. We can't afford to keep all our eggs in one basket isn't so much a justification as an appeal to sentimentality. For in the hypothetical case of a planet crashing catastrophe, we are dead anyway. The future extinction of human species cannot affect you if you are already dead. Strictly speaking, it should be of no personal concern. Colonization is not possible because of infertility. By Walker 2011. The radiation generated by cosmic rays and solar flares will make it difficult to conceive during interplanetary travel. Any child conceived during spaceflight could become sterilized due to radiation. In addition, no life support system in space, according to Woodcock 2011. The third issue is life support. Permanent outposts or settlements cannot afford to import life support supplies or equipment over the long term. The current technology is adequate for the space station. There's no food production, no recycling of waste or garbages. The life support and food production system must have long-term ecological stability, such as closed cycle technology is very fully understood. Biosphere to show how little we know. Unfortunately, NASA is investing almost zero in this. In addition, radiation to space causes cancer, neurological damage, and degenerative tissue disease, according to Ford 2008. All these uncertainties mean that safety margins have to remain high, limiting how long astronauts can stay in space. This in turn can rule out a mission to Mars, as well as long-term or multiple missions to the Moon. To enable at the very least lunar missions with astronauts, the committee trusts that radiation biology researchers are the highest priority. However, the experts noted that NASA space radiation biology research is significantly compromised by recent cuts in funding, leading to a major gaps in our knowledge of the health risks of radiation, such as cancer, neurological damage, and degenerative tissue disease. Contention 2. The reason why space colonization is a bad idea is because of high transportation costs. According to Woodcock 2011, it is very costly today. Launching a pound of payload into space costs about $10,000 US. If the shuttle were converted by putting a passenger cabin in the payload bay, it could carry about 50 passengers at a launch cost of some 400 million. Ticket price would be at least 8 million. Only the wealthiest can afford such a price, and few would choose to do so. At this price, it is unlikely even one such excursion would ever get off the ground. Also, mining the moon would be monumentally expensive. According to Popular Mechanics 2004, the discovery of helium-3 on the moon has given scientists ideas on how to produce electricity far more efficiently than with hydrocarbons or current nuclear plants. Mining the lunar surface would not be cheap. The investment would be comparable to building a major transcontinental pipeline. Also, the vehicle to transport the helium-3 itself would cost $5 billion, according to Schmidt, 2004. The most daunting challenge to mine the moon is designing a spacecraft to carry the hardware and crew to the lunar surface. The Apollo Saturn V spacecraft remains benchmark for a reliable heavy lift moon rock, capable of lifting whose humps to the moon. Saturn V remain the largest spacecraft ever used. In the 40 years since spacecraft development, vast improvements in spacecraft technology have occurred. For an investment of about $5 billion, it should be possible to develop a modernized Saturn capable of delivering probes. Contention 3. Space colonization is a bad idea because of energy concerns. Helium-3, moon colonization triggers space conflicts.
Prep time, or is the pro ready?
Ready.
Can you come up here? Ready? Go.
When space colonization prevents every future extinction scenario. This is from Wong 5. The 21st century has presented its own distinct challenges. Nuclear and biological weapon technologies are spreading to many nations and groups. Natural threats such as epidemics and impacts from space will continue to be with us. places and the most valuable part of the universe is life. Life and humankind are presently confined to the Earth. If we were throughout the solar system at multiple locations, a disaster at one location would not end everything. If we had technologies to live in extreme environments beyond Earth, we would be able to live through the extreme environments of disaster areas in other regions of hardship. And contention 2, space colonization helps the economy. There are many sociological benefits of space colonization. It should be noted that the invention space tourism market will not be based on the work of isolated government agencies, but rather evolve from synergistic combination of government, travel agency, policies, civil engineering, with the change in emphasis from our present single objective missions to broadband space colonization infrastructure will create employment here on Earth and in space for millions of people and will profoundly change our daily life on Earth. Contention 3, now is key for helium-3 mining. First come, first serve. After 4.5 billion years, there should be large amounts of helium-3 on the moon. Fusion plants produce much less radioactive waste, especially if powered by helium-3. The isotope is extremely rare on Earth and abundant on the moon. NASA plans to have a permanent moon base by 2024, but America is not the only nation with plans for a moon base. China, India, the European Space Agency, and Alex Wood, Russian Corporation, have visions of building manned lunar bases. Both China and Russia have stated that their nation's interest in helium-3. For control helium-3 resources is key to prevent future resource wars. There's going to be scramble for the moon, and this is real. There's going to be a conflict over it. Who controls the moon is going to be rich by an international low tax. This is from last year, 2010. Man has already predicted such conflict will take place. The moon will become the prison ball for the 21st century. Research will either end when the human race becomes extinct or rage on forever and ever as humans migrate across the universe. It might just be a resource war that ends humans.
Crossfire. First question, Carol.
How are you going to prevent radiation?
Sorry, here.
How can you prevent radiation?
There have been a number of anti-radiation suits developed since the discovery of radiation, so it can be used for space colonization. And as you say, if we can't get helium-3 on the moon, where are we supposed to get the similar amount of energy?
The problem is that we don't need it. The current energy is sufficient for survival.
The population of the Earth is growing as well as its total GDP of Earth. So,
however, you're jeopardizing people by sending them to the moon because they're just they're just going to die anyway because of radiation levels and because of cancer.
I already said that there are special suits.
The special suits, the problem is that special suits probably cost a lot of money, and then we haven't had the technology to develop special suits yet.
The Space Radiation Analysis Group at the Johnson Space Center is responsible for ensuring that the radiation exposure received by astronauts remain below established safety limits. And so the group provides radiological support during missions, and so yeah, there should be no problem with radiation.
Okay, and your speech says that countries such as China and India have interest in helium-3, so are you just admitting that there will be a resource war?
No, there's this treaty, the Outer Space Treaty, and one of this treaties are the moon and Earth celestial bodies shall be used exclusively for peaceful purposes, and states will be liable for damage caused by their space objects. So technically, there shouldn't be a war or conflict, because if one nation causes conflict, they'll face distrust and opposition by the international community.
Do you say that extinction is inevitable?
Yes.
So can extinction also occur on the moon?
No. Actually, yes. But if there are many colonies, if one colony goes extinct, there are still other places. So technically, extinction as a human race won't happen.
Time. Would you like, right, time. Katrina.
No, thank you.
Ready? 4 minutes, go.
The first argument that my opponent brought up was that space colonization presents every future extinction scenario. I have two responses. First of all, in their own evidence, they said that we do not have the technology to do this. They said that if we had the technologies to live in the extreme environments beyond Earth, we would be able to live through extreme environments in disaster areas and other regions of hardship. So what this evidence means is that right now we do not have the technology. Right now, we cannot survive the extreme environments beyond Earth. So even if we colonize in space, we will still go extinct. My second response is that there is no food production. I would like to extend the evidence that my partner read, that where we cannot, there's no way to produce food in space right now. So again, we will still die of starvation. Either that or we have to keep going back to Earth, which is not actually colonizing in space. The next argument they made was that space colonization helps the economy because of tourism. My partner read a piece of evidence that says that right now, one ticket would cost $8 million. So no one will be willing to pay this $8 million. So the tourism market will not grow because no one's going to pay $8 million just for one ticket. And the next argument they had was that helium-3 should be mined because first come, first served. I'd like to read a piece of evidence to respond to this. Space colonization prevents every future... Space colonization triggers space conflicts and helium mining triggers space conflicts and weaponization. According to Beljack in 2008, quote, China has tested an anti-satellite weapon and Russia has stated that it would not allow other states to control space and threaten its own space assets. The large deposits of helium-3 on the moon's surface will lead to a militarized race to colonize the moon to secure helium-3 for nuclear fusion energy technology based on a neutronic fusion reaction in the context of depleting hydrocarbons.
2.
Space weaponization may well have cataclysmic consequences given the link between space weapons and nuclear weapon strategy. Other space nations will follow suit. The deployment of space weapons means that the first shot in a nuclear war will be fired against these early warning satellites. Strategic planners in Moscow have about 10 minutes between warning and launch. Weapons in space will lower this in certain scenarios down to seconds, end quote. So what this means is that if we go ahead and mine the helium, we will trigger these wars between Russia, China, United States. So they also read a piece of evidence saying that it's key to prevent resource wars. But I would like to point out their logic is that to prevent resource wars, we should go ahead and first grab helium-3. This doesn't make any sense. We will be simply triggering space conflicts and wars. So I would also like to read another disadvantage of space colonization. Earth-grown bacteria gets more virulent, biofilm. According to Discover in 2008, quote, an ordinary germ would be risky enough, but a recent experiment published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences has shown that a microbe can turn even more dangerous in space than on Earth. The experiment on the space shuttle Atlantis was designed to explore how a lack of gravity affects disease-causing microbes in space. Astronauts aboard the space shuttle grew the salmonella, and back on Earth, researchers used it to infect a group of mice. Several follow-up experiments on space shuttle flights over the next few years will look to see whether other bacteria undergo similar changes in environments in microgravity, end quote. So in other words, these bacteria, they exponentially grow. So it is much more dangerous in space. And so overall, there's no reason to colonize in space because we don't even have the technology to survive in the extreme environments. Their own evidence stated that our technology is not developed enough. And secondly, there's no way to produce food. There's no way we can survive there. And we will not be gaining any money because no one will be willing to pay $8 million a ticket. Not to mention, mining helium-3, the vehicle would cost $5 billion. And also that if we mine helium.
Anthony, you want to prep? Nope.
Alright, our response there first, the first argument is saying that there is no technology, they're saying that chase colonization prevents extinction, but there is no technology and no food production. You have to consider the speed of how fast our technology is growing right now. In the past 50 years, we have created quite a bit of stuff, and such as like what you have been using these mornings, such as computers, and created for, I don't know, 10 years or something. And like we can so maybe we will be able to make the technology we need in time before the Earth goes like gets destroyed or so on. And the same answer to the $8 million ticket. We have we are going to technology. It may take some time, but it doesn't mean that we aren't going into technology, and it will stay as a $8 million ticket forever. And for their response to their helium-3 triggers war, helium-3 space colonization triggers war, our response is, we would like to read a quote for our response is, Earthbound helium-3 is running out, which is from Sheena Morgan from 2010. The world is experiencing a total shortage of helium-3, and the supply of helium-3 from the nuclear weapons program outstripped the demand for helium-3. Until 2001, helium-3 production by the nuclear weapons program exceeded demand, and policies makers now face a number of challenging decisions: science versus security, private sector versus the public sector, and national needs versus international obligations. And so it shows that if we don't go to the moon, we're going to run out of helium-3 on the Earth. And your prediction is that if we go onto the moon to mine for helium-3, there's going to be a war. But our response is that even if we don't go to the moon for helium-3, we're probably going to have another war against for helium-3 because we're already running out. And say that, like their last argument in our speech was something like bacteria grows faster in space and so on, and salmonella. And our response is that if such a salmonella, if that kind of bacteria grows faster in space, what if other bacteria, such as maybe E. coli, what if they also grow faster and get better in space, like more virulent and so on? And maybe they have, maybe if it does happen, they may do more good than regular germs on Earth. And so, yeah. Okay.
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Right. So we would like to extend our case, which is, EU exploitation programs are used to key to economic competitiveness, which is from Batches 2011. The United States is retiring the shuttle fleet. It is unclear. It is unclear what, if anything, will replace the shuttle. And for all the considerable promise of private commercial space exploration, it is not all clear. The commercial rocket will be able to be mandated, commercial rockets, one family launched by other private companies. And at a time of growing concern about competitiveness, does it make sense to throw away the critical mass and critical skills of thousands of space workers whose labors have been secured and sustained by America's comparative advantages? But the approaching end of the shuttle program is about much more than a loss of jobs. For far too long, for far too many in most of our political parties have treated human spaceflight as just another job producing public works project. The historic task is to discover more. It is our use to our freedom to extend as far as we can to the ultimate reach of human experience, knowledge, and understanding. So we should go to space.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. And here is a summary. First is that they say that we don't have the technology, doesn't mean we will not have the technology. Second is that $8 million ticket, it may not stay as $8 million forever. Third is that even if we don't go to the moon, we're probably still going to have a helium-3 trigger, which triggers war, and so that maybe we can, if we go to the moon, we might extend time.
Crossfire. First question, Mr. Trina, go.
How would you respond to the fact that we can't even support ourselves because we can't produce food in space?
Even if we can, even if we have to keep on going back and forward, so maybe we can prevent extinction instead of just staying on Earth and maybe get the Earth blown up by some giant meteor or something. And our question is that does only salmonella and other harmful bacteria get more violent in space?
That's correct. They grow more rapidly in space.
Okay, your question?
Okay, my question is that you're saying that this technology is not invented but it might be invented in the future, correct? Well then, are you saying basically we should colonize even though we don't have the technology yet?
I said that we can wait and until when we have technology, we can go into space and have condoms.
So we should not colonize now.
Not yet. And our question is that safer for less, but just that, you mean all germs, all kinds of bacteria, they get better, or do they do actually have more effects in space?
Oh, we were just talking about salmonella.
Okay, good. Good question.
And so do you think anyone would pay for $8 million to go to space?
I said that we can, like, maybe that price tag will go down in the future, and nobody was like, I mean, yeah.
So if we open this tourism market right now, no one would pay because currently it's $8 million.
Well, if we wait and we have another way to lower this price tag, we might be able to find, we might be able to find some customers.
So we should not enact a plan right now at this moment.
Yeah, but we can enact the plan when we have something to do to lower this price tag. And, like, okay, so like your question, my question is, 1 minute? All right. My question is, are you sure that if anyone goes to the moon and starts digging, it will be a war, or is that just some practice in case something bad happens and somebody's throwing some nuclear weapon in China or Russia?
Yes, I'm sure because Russia specifically stated that it would not allow other states to control space and threaten its own space assets. So it already said that it won't allow other people to go and take other space assets.
What if somebody like the USA goes and violates that rule?
Then Russia would probably try to fight over resources.
Do you have any evidence of that?
Yes, because right here, Russia said it will not allow other states to control space and threaten its own space assets.
I mean, evidence that Russia will attack the United States when the United States goes into other space.
It's pure logic.
Your question?
Oh yes, and so right now, if we went to space.
Hi, Carol, you want to prep? 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yes?